Hello friends, this video on Heat Part 9 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. When we talk about heat transfer, we are actually talking about substances transferring heat from one part to another or from one object to another. The question is, do all materials conduct heat? So if I take any material, will it start conducting heat? Will it allow heat to pass through it? So let us look at some examples. So let us take this example where we take a metal pan with a metal handle. So if you have this kind of pan in your kitchen, you can try this out yourself. So let's say that the pan is made up of metal. The handle is also made up of metal. So this is also metal. So this is one type of pan which you have taken and you put it on the gas. When you switch the gas on, what happens? The pan gets heated. After some time, maybe after a couple of minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, try to touch the handle. What happens? The handle also becomes hot. That is the first thing that you observe. In the next example, what you do, you take a pan, but this time the handle is not made up of metal. Instead, it is made up of plastic. So you take a pan with a plastic handle. And in fact, these days, most of the pans will have a plastic handle. Now you put this pan over the gas and then after some time you observe it. What do you see? The pan gets heated, of course, but when you touch the handle, it is not heated. So why is a difference between the two? This difference is because some materials allow heat to get conducted while some other materials do not allow heat to pass through them. So in this case, what happens is the fire is here. So the source of heat is here. So obviously the pan gets heated. But gradually it spreads to other parts of the pan also. That's how heat transfer happens from one part of the object to the other. And since it is all made up of metal and metal conducts heat, it allows heat to pass through it. Therefore, the handle also becomes heated. But in this case, what happens is the pan definitely gets heated because it is made up of metal. But since this handle is made up of plastic and plastic does not conduct heat, plastic does not allow heat to pass through it. Therefore, the plastic handle does not get heated. So what do we observe from this? So from this, we observe that metals conduct heat. That is, metals allow heat to pass through them, but plastics do not conduct heat. So with this, we get to know that it is not necessary that all materials will conduct heat. So based on which materials conduct heat and which do not, we can classify materials into two types, conductors and insulators. So the names that define itself, conductor, something which conducts heat. So that is called conductor. So conductors and insulators are like poor conductors. They do not allow heat to pass through them easily. So conductors are materials which conduct heat. For example, they are also called good conductors of heat because they are very good at it. Best examples are metals, whether you talk about copper, you talk about aluminium, you talk about any metal, they are all good conductors of heat. Now, when you talk about the insulators, they do not allow heat to pass through them easily. So, the concept of conductors and insulators of heat are very similar to what we have learned in conductors and insulators of electricity. Now, there are some materials which allow electricity to pass through them. They are called good conductors of electricity. Similarly, those materials which do not allow electricity to pass through them, they are called poor conductors of electricity. Similarly, these are conductors and insulators of heat. So examples of insulators are plastics, wood, water, air. These are all examples of poor conductors. That is why, because of this, wood or plastic containers are not used for cooking purposes. So if you have a plastic container, you cannot put it over the gas because when it gets heated, it melts, but it doesn't allow heat to pass through it. But if it is a metal conductor, it will allow the heat to pass through it and it will provide that heat to the vegetables or whatever is the content is inside the vessel. So these are conductors and insulators. Now, when we talk about heat transfer, we are actually talking about heat being transferred from one object to another, or heat being transferred from one part of an object to another. Now, how will this heat transfer actually take place? Now, there are three ways by which heat transfer happens. The first is conduction, second is convection, and the third one is radiation. So these are the only three ways by which heat gets transferred from one object to another. So let us learn each of these one by one. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.